Good afternoon. You are tuning into the remote public scoping meeting for South Shore Industrial Center proposal. I'm doing a quick audio and video check for our YouTube stream, and we're going to kick off this meeting in just a few minutes at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome. You are tuning into the remote public scoping meeting for the South Shore Industrial Center proposal. City Environmental Quality Review application number for this project is 26DCP044R. My name is Evren Ülker Kacar. I am the Deputy Director of New York City Department of City Planning, Environmental Assessment and Review Division, EARD. Tom Smith, Senior Program Manager for Neighborhood Studies and Special Projects, will co-host today's meeting. And in the event of any technical difficulties, Tom will take over this meeting on my behalf. We truly appreciate your making time to join us today and appreciate your patience if you do run into any technical difficulties. I also want to emphasize that we will hear from everyone who wishes to speak today, and this meeting will remain open until we have heard from all speakers. We also welcome written comments and testimony through 5 p.m. Monday, December 1st, 2025. And we will provide written comments the same attention and consideration as comments provided live in this meeting. Next slide, please. We will now proceed to the public scoping meeting for the South Shore Industrial Center proposal. For the record, let me note again that the CEQR Environmental Quality Review, or CEQR, application number for this project is 26DCP044R, and today's date is November 20, 2025, and the time is approximately 2:02 p.m. Next slide. Again, my name is Evren Ülker Kacar. I am the Deputy Director for Environmental Assessment and Review Division of the Department of City Planning. I'll be chairing today's scoping meeting. The department is acting on behalf of the City Planning Commission as the lead agency for this proposal's environmental review. And as the lead agency, the department will be responsible for overseeing the preparation and completion of the proposal's Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS. Next slide, please. Joining me today are several of my colleagues from the Department of City Planning. Tom Smith is the Senior Program Manager for Neighborhood Studies and Special Projects. Stacy Barron is the Environmental Assessment and Review Division's Project Manager for this proposal. Andrew Jones is the Project Manager for the Land Use Proposal. We are also joined by the Department Staten Island Office Director Katie Ferrara-Ionito and the Deputy Director George Todorovich. Anna, too, is also the counsel for this project. and is with us today. I would like to also mention that during today's remote meeting, we are joined by several DCP staff members who are working on the background to make sure this meeting runs smoothly. Many thanks to them. Next slide, please. Together, we are here to receive your comments on the draft scope of work for the draft environmental impact statement for the South Shore Industrial Center proposal. The draft scope of work identifies the subjects to be analyzed in the upcoming draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, and describe the methodologies that will be used in those analyses. The draft scope of work materials are posted online on Department of City Planning's ZAP website. Next slide, please. The purpose of today's meeting is to allow public participation in the preparation of the DEIS at the earliest stage possible in the process. Specifically, scoping allows the public to help shape the DEIS before it is written. Towards that end, the department, as the lead agency, will receive verbal testimony on the draft scope of work from elected officials, government agencies, representatives of the local community board, and the public. We also welcome written comments on the draft scope of work. Written comments can be submitted through Monday, December 1st by 5 p.m. Next slide, please. At the end of the written comment period, the department, as the lead agency, will review all comments, those we hear today, as well as those written comments that we will receive. After carefully reviewing all the comments, the department will decide what changes, if any, need to be made to the draft scope of work and will issue the final scope of work. It will be the final scope of work that will serve as the basis for preparation of the EIS. Next slide, please. Today marks the beginning of the written comment period on the draft scope of work. No decisions will be made today regarding the draft scope, and the purpose of the meeting is to allow the public to provide their comments about the draft scope and to allow the department to listen to those comments, and it's very important for all voices to be heard today. Next slide, please. I will now focus on the structure of today's meeting, which is going to be divided into 3 parts. The applicant team will make a brief presentation describing the South Shore Industrial Center proposal. The applicant team will provide a brief summary of the environmental review's draft scope of work. This should take about 15 minutes. During the second part of the meeting, the department will hear testimony from elected officials, government agencies, and community board leaders. During the third part of the meeting, we'll receive testimony from those members of the general public. Next slide, please. On to a few logistics for today's scoping meeting. If you wish to speak and plan to access this meeting online using a computer or tablet or a smartphone, please remember to register online through New York City Department of City Planning's website at nyc.gov/planning and navigating to the top right-hand corner of the calendar page and following the registration instructions for the South Shore Industrial Center public scoping meeting. A link to join us and provide your testimony will be emailed to you after you complete the registration process on the DCP calendar page, and we will add you to our speakers list in the order which you registered. Next slide, please. When it's your turn to speak, your name will be called and you will be promoted to be a panelist. This will allow you to unmute your microphone and ability to turn on your camera if you wish to do so. There will be a short period that it will appear that you are no longer in the meeting, but don't be alarmed, you should join the meeting as a panelist shortly. And you will be asked to convey your remarks. To allow us to hear from everyone who wishes to speak today, we ask you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. A 3-minute countdown clock will run on the screen if you are participating online. And at the 3-minute mark, your time will expire and you will be asked to conclude your remarks. Please note that promoting speakers takes a moment, so please be patient. Next slide, please. An additional note of instructions for those of you joining us by phone today. If you wish to provide testimony via telephone, please select *9 when prompted. Please listen for me to call out the last 3 digits of your phone number. At that time, you will be given temporary ability to share your testimony. You must press *6 to unmute your telephone, and we will be able to hear you. When your testimony is complete or your 3 minutes have expired, whichever comes first, please press *6 again to mute yourself. We would like to encourage dial-in participants who wish to provide testimony to register via phone using the dial-in participant hotline. Next slide, please. So on to some time limits. Speakers from the general public will have 3 minutes to give testimony. There are a few exceptions to this rule. Elected officials, for example, are given the courtesy of jumping to the front of the queue and don't have any time limits. And those of you who are viewing us on live stream and wishing to testify, please be mindful of the potential background noise during your testimony. Make sure that the live stream is muted when you begin your testimony to avoid hearing an echo. Next slide, please. We will also accept written testimony. So if you wish to submit a written testimony, it may be submitted to Department of City Planning. Our mailing address is 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York, 10271. Attention, myself, Evren Ülker Kacar. We also have a setup email address for this proposal. Our email address is 26DCP044R_DL@planning.nyc.gov. This information is also found on DCP Department of City Planning's calendar page. We will accept comments through Monday, December 1st, 2025 by 5 p.m. Next slide, please. All right, so now I will turn it, we're going to go to part 2 of the meeting, and I will turn this over to the applicant team to go through their proposal. Justin Jarbo will be the next speaker.
Thanks, Evren. Good afternoon. My name is Justin Jarbo, and I'm a planner with Air Platnik PC. Also with me today is Corey Block from AKRF, and we are representatives for the applicant. Today we are here to present a proposal that would redevelop a long-standing vacant industrial property on the west shore of Staten Island. The applicant is North Point Development, operating as NP Staten Island Industrial LLC, who seek a series of zoning actions from the City Planning Commission that would enable the redevelopment of the Port Mobile Major Oil Storage Facility located along Arthur Kill Road. The zoning actions would enable the redevelopment of this property, which has been vacant since 2019, into 3 separate new warehouses totaling approximately 1.4 million square feet of industrial space, including a separate marine terminal on the waterfront with 50 acres of supporting outdoor industrial space. Next slide, please. The project is located in the west shore of the Charleston neighborhood in Staten Island Community District 3. It is located along Arthur Kill Road near the intersection of Johnson Street and is located along the Arthur Kill Tidal Strait. The property encompasses approximately 242 acres and contains the vacant Port Mobile Oil Storage Facility, which was permitted as a major oil storage facility with 38 above-ground tanks. The facility was active between 1930 and 2019 when it ceased operations. The facility included 13 small buildings on the property to aid operations, as well as a small parking lot that accommodates approximately 40 spaces. A waterfront portion of the property contains a functioning dock with limited existing operations, with a bulkhead measuring 2,100 feet. In addition, the property also contains a ground-mounted solar array that provides energy generation for off-site users, which was installed in 2016. A single roadway, Ellis Road, currently provides access to the site along the southern end of the property. Approximately 121 acres of the property consists of undeveloped woodlands and natural shoreline, including approximately 19 acres of tidal and freshwater wetlands under jurisdiction of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, also known as DEC, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. These undeveloped areas are concentrated along the perimeter of the property, and it is estimated the property contains between 11,000 and 12,000 trees. Next slide, please. The site is currently zoned M31 and is located in the Special South Richmond Development District. It is also located in the Rossville Industrial Business Zone. Since the facility's closure in 2019, 10 of the existing buildings on the property have been demolished, and the 38 above-ground oil tanks have been removed. Between 2009 and the closure of the facility, the property has been subject to consent orders with the Environmental Protection Agency and DEC that require environmental remediation efforts. Those efforts are currently underway. The image in the upper right-hand corner from 2021 shows the above-ground storage tanks prior to removal as part of the first phase of remediation. The image also shows some smaller structures prior to demolition. The lower image from earlier this year shows the property following the removal of tanks and 3 of the waterfront buildings remaining. Those buildings will be preserved to be used as part of the improved dock operations. Next slide, please. The applicant intends to construct 3 one-story, 50-foot tall commercial warehouse buildings totaling approximately 1.4 million zoning square feet to be utilized as a logistics facility. In addition, approximately 30 acres along the waterfront would be used as supporting open industrial space for the dock and associated outdoor storage uses. An additional 20 acres would be utilized as industrial open space, which potentially could be utilized separately from the dock operations. 2 logistics buildings would front Arthur Kill Road, each containing approximately 215,000 square feet. A third logistics facility building would contain approximately 1 million square feet to be located in the center of the property. These buildings would be accessible from a new private roadway from Arthur Kill Road that would provide access to 1,185 parking spaces, 276 loading berths, and 7 acres of storage space for trailers. Approximately 5,800 square feet of open space would be allocated near the warehouses as open space for employees. To minimize disturbance to the natural areas of the site, including the wetlands, new development is primarily proposed within the footprint of the former oil storage facility, and the existing ground-mounted solar array would be relocated to the rooftops of the proposed new buildings and potentially expanded to increase energy production. The proposed development's open parking area and commercial driveway would be surrounded by new landscaping and sidewalks with at least 400 new trees planted throughout the development. 62 of the 242 total site acres on the perimeter of the project site would be preserved as part of the proposal as open space and wetland areas. More than 85% of the trees present on the property would be maintained. As part of the new development, roadway improvements would occur along Arthur Kill Road. These would include widening the roadway to its full map width, the installation of sidewalks along site entrances and roadway frontages, improvements to curb cuts and gutters, new landscaping, and the addition of a new traffic signal at the main entrance to the facility. Additional proposed traffic improvements would include roadway restriping to establish new exclusive turning lanes in the front of the property. Ellis Road, the southern roadway that currently accesses the property, would be maintained. Therefore, under the proposal, 2 roadways would provide access to the property with an internal roadway network connecting the various facilities throughout the development. The proposed development would also include improvements to stormwater management on the site, including a series of stormwater quality basins, inlets, and underground drainage pipes that would provide stormwater quality treatment prior to discharge into the Arthur Kill. The proposed stormwater collection system would protect the property's existing wetlands by redirecting untreated stormwater runoff from the wetlands to the new stormwater collection system. Next slide, please. The proposal seeks 3 actions from the City Planning Commission. The first action is a zoning authorization to modify natural features in the Special South Richmond Development District pursuant to Section 10761 of the zoning resolution. This enables the modification of topography and the removal of trees, contrary to the rules of the special district under Section 107312. The second action is a zoning authorization pursuant to Section 107472, which would enable a new parking facility in the development. Currently, properties larger than an acre are unable to provide new parking facilities in the special district as of right, and this action will waive that requirement to provide 1,185 parking spaces, which are required by the proposed uses. A third action is a zoning certification pursuant to Section 3658 to waive a requirement for cross-access connections in Staten Island. This action is sought as cross-access connections to adjacent zoning lots are not feasible here, given the presence of wetlands. Next slide, please. In addition to required zoning actions sought from the City Planning Commission, a Part 360 permit is sought from DEC for the importation of fill material. This fill area will be located on site and away from the waterfront area. In addition, a joint permit is sought from DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers for wetland and wetland adjacent areas to install the new stormwater management system. At this time, those agencies are being consulted as part of the overall project. And now, Corey will present the scope of work for the environmental impact assessment.
Thank you, Justin. So because there is the potential for adverse impacts, an environmental impact statement will be prepared to assess the potential effects of the proposed project, which is anticipated to be completed and operational in 2030. First, the analysis will look at the existing 2025 conditions, and then it will look at a no-action scenario. The no-action scenario takes into account what the development and use of the site could be without any additional approvals. In this instance, the no action will assume the open industrial area will be expanded from the current 13-acre footprint to approximately 114 acres. It also accounts for other background growth and discrete developments that are planned under construction or may be operational in the future 2030 condition. The analysis will then review the with action conditions based on the proposed project and the proposed actions that Justin just laid out. The EIS will compare the with action to the no action and will also review potential effects during construction. Next slide. This slide shows the comparison or the increment between the no action and the with action. Here you can see we're adding 1,451,000 square feet of warehouse, keeping the existing approximately 28,000 square feet of industrial buildings, and replacing 64 acres that could be open storage with the proposed warehouse use. 9.6 acres would be removed to make room for the warehousing and parking. 9.6 acres would be removed to make room for warehousing, parking, and the existing solar panels would be relocated to the tops of the proposed buildings. There would be an additional 1,145 employees and 1,185 parking spaces, which would be added to accommodate the proposed warehouse and industrial open space. Next slide. The draft EIS will follow the City Environmental Quality Review, or CEQR, technical manual guidance and screening threshold procedures for the 20 areas shown here on this slide. The analysis will account for predicted changes in background conditions and then consider how the project would affect those future conditions. And the one exception here is construction, which considers impacts that occur during the construction period prior to the completion of the project. The DEIS is also required to consider alternatives to the proposed project, so we'll consider a range of reasonable development options or alternatives, and whether those alternatives could avoid or reduce project-related significant adverse impacts while still achieving the stated goals and objectives of the project. It will also include a description of proposed mitigation measures, which are feasible and practicable measures that could be advanced to avoid or minimize significant adverse impacts that are identified in the draft EIS. This next slide lists which areas were identified for further detailed analysis. As shown here, community facilities, solid waste, and sanitation and energy were all screened out, which leaves the following areas for further analysis. So the next couple of slides highlight a few technical details to be studied for natural resources, hazardous materials, transportation, and construction. Next slide, please. The natural resource analysis will identify areas of concern to the state, federal, and city agencies, such as wetlands and significant natural communities. It would then identify any potential impacts to these resources and any measures or mitigation developed to reduce the project's potential for significant adverse effects. The hazardous material analysis will include the history of the site as a major oil storage facility, the site contamination, and remediation measures that are currently underway. It will then summarize the prior environmental reports and analyses. For the proposed development, it will then review human health and vapor intrusion assessments to ensure the buildings are safe for their workers. Any additional work required to avoid adverse impacts would also be identified in this chapter. Next slide, please. So we know that traffic is always a concern for any neighborhood. Therefore, the transportation analysis will be conducted based on the results of the travel demand characteristics and in consultation with lead and reviewing agencies, such as DOT. Based on a preliminary review, the DEIS proposes to assess the 17 intersections shown here. This includes the entrance to the site where the proposed project will be adding a signal. Next slide, please. While construction will be under 24 months, which is considered short-term in the CEQR technical manual, we understand that construction effects along the Arthur Kill Road are a community concern. As such, the DEIS will undertake a construction review and propose measures to ensure construction and mobilization, loading, and vehicle queuing will not occur on Arthur Kill Road, but rather on the project's site. The analysis will review the periodic construction that will need to occur within the roadway, which will be coordinated through permitting with New York City DOT's Office of Construction Mitigation and Coordination, and with the development of a maintenance and protection of traffic plan. It will also review the stormwater pollution prevention plan to ensure no construction impacts. And this concludes the applicant's presentation. Now back to Everin at DCP.
Thank you, applicant team. Production team, if you can have, great. Thank you. So we will now move on to part 2 of the meeting. At this time, we will be receiving testimony from the elected officials, community board leaders, and government agencies. So when it's your turn to speak, your name will be called and you will be promoted to panelist. This will allow you to unmute yourself and give you the ability to turn your camera on if you wish to do so. There will be a short period where it will appear that you are no longer in the meeting, but you should be joining as a panelist shortly. If speakers experience any technical issues that prevent them from sharing their testimony, we will pause, then move on to the next speaker to allow for troubleshooting to happen in the background. And we will call your name again at a later time. Also, for assisters, for those who are listening in today, they should follow the instructions on the bottom of the slide if they want to join and provide testimony. So the call number, anyone who wishes to testify at this meeting by phone should call any of the toll-free numbers that are listed on the slide, 877-853-5247, or any other numbers. And when you're prompted to enter the meeting ID, you should enter 854-611-7665 and use the password 341154. If you're having any difficulties, please also dial our dial-in hotline at any of these numbers listed on the screen and use the meeting number on the bottom of the screen. And skip the participant ID and insert the passcode 1. So now I'm going to check if we have anybody on this group of speakers that wishes to provide their testimony. It looks like no one has signed up to speak under this group, nor anybody actually has signed up from the public to provide any testimony. At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break to allow for those who are joined us by streaming on our YouTube page online. If anybody is watching and wants to provide a testimony, please follow the instructions that you're seeing on the screen in the next few minutes. I'm going to repeat the meeting ID number for those who have missed it. Is 854-811-7665. And the password is 341154. All right, we're now going to pause for a few minutes and we'll come back in 5 minutes to see if there are people who are signed up to provide their testimony. Thanks. Good afternoon and welcome back. You are tuning into the public scoping meeting for the South Shore Industrial Center proposal. For the record, this proposal's City Environmental Quality Review application number is 26DCP044R. My name is Evran Kajar, and I am the Deputy Director for Department of City Planning's Environmental Assessment and Review Division, or EARD. We are currently on part 3 of our public scoping meeting, where members of the public can speak up to 3 minutes. We took a quick 5-minute break to see if anyone who wishes to speak have registered online or dialed in. So during the 5-minute break, we don't have any new registrants of any of the groups. No one from the public has registered, or no government agency representatives registered during this break. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is the time to follow the instruction to register online if you wish to provide your testimony. So I'm going to see if there is anyone in the room who wishes to speak at this time. No. If no one else registered, and we will go ahead and close this public scoping meeting. As a reminder, if you had any difficulties providing your testimony today or had any difficulties registering online to join us, you can submit written comments by December 1st, 2025 at 5 p.m. Those written comments can be emailed to project's email address at 26dcp044R_DL@planning.nyc.gov. These comments can also be mailed to the department at New York City Department of City Planning, Environmental Assessment and Review Division. Attention to myself, Evran Kajar, at 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York 10271. The deadline to submit these comments, again, is December 1st, 2025 by 5 p.m. So it's currently 2:39 p.m. Since we don't have any speakers registered at this time who wishes to provide testimony, we will now close this public hearing.